Hi, I'm Nabi Butcher.
I'm Marisa Pereira.
This is Wally reporting for WORLDbytes.
Now that the majority of the people in Britain have won the battle for Brexit, isn't it time we get rid of other anti-democratic institutions like the House of Lords?
I'm here in Dalston in East London to find out if people are up for abolishing this medieval institution.
So do you think the House of Lords should be abolished?
Yeah, 100%. It's about time. I mean, they're totally unelected, generally incredibly elitist, very small section of society that's in there.
They lie a lot in there, they cheat a lot. They're not really for the people, they're for themselves.
It's outdated, it's very old-fashioned, it should be electable.
They're not elected in any way. So at the whims of the Prime Minister, he just appoints them, okay, go there, maybe some kind of favour or stuff, otherwise nothing.
Basically cronies, doing favours for people. So yeah, I don't like the idea of it at all.
I feel that it shouldn't be for the rich and the privileged. It should also be accessible to ordinary people who should be able to sit and also participate in the decision making of the country.
It's a bit ludicrous that they exist, really, I think.
How do you feel about the House of Lords as an institution in the United Kingdom?
I think in its present form it needs reform. The idea that the aristocracy can be in charge and legislate over us was something that was good for the 17th and 18th century, but it's not good for now, especially when we're supposed to be a democracy. And a lot of the other legislatures have elected representatives like Canada or the United States. The idea of reform is that we still need two houses. You can't just have the executive passing laws without a check on them. So I can see the advantage of having the reform in terms of an elected House of Lords, where it's Senate.
I think we definitely do need a second group of people who help with deciding on the law.
And don't you think the House of Commons fulfills their role?
I think it does, and of course, but having an elected house is great, but I think having two is good. But yeah, the unelected part of it is, I think, the problem.
I'm not for or against, because they're making some powerful decisions in recent months, particularly around disability benefits. For me particularly, it's nice to have two processes to go through, rather than just the government making decisions.
Do you find it anti-democratic, though, that none of them were elected or appointed by the people?
I think it should be good that they're elected in a different way, so people maybe vote them in, or different peers are elected, but to have it there is important also.
Checks and balances are 100% necessary, but maybe not in the form of the House of Lords, an unelected body, to perhaps another elected body that could perhaps fulfill some of the function that they do at the moment. You could also get experts in there. Why not elected?
Talking about the checks and balances, don't you think people should ultimately be the ones that decide on these kind of issues?
Yeah, they definitely do, but they rarely get to. So the referendum is a prime example of when they do get to. I think there's only so much the public can do in the democratic and voting and political system that we have.
I think the House has a purpose. Like, it's useful to have a House scrutinising legislation, but just a representative House that represents the UK. So I think the role itself is fine, it's just the makeup that's the problem for me.
It's definitely undemocratic, but we don't have a democracy in this country in the same way that a lot of people think that we do. So the House of Commons is a representative body, but it's not democratic in that sense either. The House of Lords isn't supposed to be democratic, but it does a different job. So if you were to have two democratic chambers, you'd have two equal bodies essentially fighting it out for legitimacy.
If the House of Lords were to be elected, how would it differentiate from the House of Commons, do you think?
Well, if it doesn't make any difference, then get rid of it altogether.
Given that, Britain calls itself a democracy, how can we still have an institution such as the House of Lords that is undemocratic?
Well, probably because the elites who are in those positions would like to keep it that way. The benefits of being a lord are pretty good. The amount of money that goes into paying them to come in for a day of their expenses, and they don't really do much.
I think it's quite outdated, and in the past I have considered it a very archaic institution, and that all our politicians who have a say in making laws in England should be elected. But my position has changed since the Brexit vote, and since we've had quite a right-wing government. And now I think that it is a good thing that we have politicians who aren't elected, because they are not bound by the threat of being voted out. They're there, they can vote according to their own moral judgment, as opposed to what they think their constituents would agree with. So I think that now we're in an age of populism that can really be a detriment to democracy. It's good that we have the House of Lords.
I think the House of Lords should be retained because they are doing a terrific job there. They bring their experience to bear on the country. Some of them are experts and they bring their past knowledge to bear.
But who are the best people to decide on politics? Is it experts or is it actually the ordinary person?
I think this is debatable, I think.
The expert every time. To be perfectly honest, given recent events around the world and just the history of democracy in general, for me it's not. The old Winston Churchill quote is spend 5 minutes with your average voter, and that's the greatest argument against democracy. And the more and more you see in the world today, I agree with that.
So you're not a great believer in democracy then, are you?
Not particularly. There needs to be ways of ensuring that people are fully informed and understand what's in their best interest, and not just go off rhetoric and bold statements that aren't true.
Do you trust the House of Lords more to make these political decisions, or the people?
I think generally it's going towards the people. So with referendums, they could be a good thing.
I have more faith in the public, because the public is the people that go around every day working and have probably better experience into what we need.
The people or people like the House of Lords?
People like myself. We're the ones that's on the, on the battleground, so to speak. We're the ones on the battleground and they're inside the nice, houses and things keeping cozy, so we know what's going on.
And if there were a referendum brought up to abolish the House of Lords, would you support that referendum?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I would say yes. Definitely a yes for me.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I'd probably vote for that.